Welcome back to Solo Adventures. My name is Livi, and I'm here yet again with another BGG Solitaire Contest game review. Today we'll be looking at Nevermind the Distraction, a card-based meditation game. Yes, you heard me correctly, a meditation game. This is probably one of the weirdest entrants that we've had so far, but let's check it out, shall we? As always, if you're not interested in watching me actually play this game, feel free to skip to the end for my final thoughts. Otherwise, let's venture forth. So let's get set up for Nevermind the Distraction. So we're going to want to have 8 tokens, ideally see-through ones, because when we play this game we're going to be placing them over these tokens and we want to be able to read the number there. But if you don't have anything transparent, that's okay. So there are 16 of these number tokens and we only need half of them. Just make sure that you have 1 through 8. And in a standard game of Nevermind, we want to have 2 of each of these symbols visible when we're all set up. But I will show you that in a minute. So with Nevermind, there are several different distraction packs that you can pick from, and they all have different pictures. So for example, this is the modern art one, or the texture one, or this one's Mother Nature. But I believe there are 8 packs that come standard with this game, and you just need to pick 3 of them. You could technically play this game with more packs if you want a longer game, but we'll just be playing a standard one. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to take out the 1 card in each pack that says Breathe on the back. All the rest are blank. Now we mix these up. And we draw 1, and we can get rid of these. Now what we need to do is we need to take a total of 8 cards from these 3 packs, and I'm just going to make them random, so I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So these cards here will now be used as the meditation timer. So stack them up with their separator on the bottom. And this will just help us keep track of the time. We just lay out the other cards like this. Now comes time for the tokens. So I'm just going to make this random. In the full version of this game, or the way that it was, I guess, intended to be as part of a meditation exercise, there's a different way where you flip over the cards and you see what thoughts come up when you see them, and that helps determine the difficulty of the game. But I just want to make standard difficulty for this demonstration. So I'll just randomly draw my tokens. Okay, so we have 1 thought. We're going to need 2. We have 2 feelings. We have 2 memory. Wait, 3 memory. We'll change this to anticipation. And I will explain the actions of these tokens as we go. And then we just have our 8-sided die. So in this game, we are playing against the mind, just as you would in Eastern style meditation. So we are the watcher, we are our consciousness, and we are attempting to notice and then release the thoughts that keep popping up into our overactive minds to hopefully reach ultimate peace. So a turn works like this. So first the mind goes, and you roll. 4. So we find, here's the 4 token. So now this thing that's been floating around in the subliminal is a thought. Now, normally you're not allowed to act on the card right after it has been acted on by the mind, but since there's only one card in play, then we're allowed to do that. So I'm just going to flip that back over. 1. Now there are 2 cards in play. So I can't just act on this card, I have to take a focus action. So the way the focus action works is we take our little marker, and we put it in the center, and now we roll. So the mind stole away our focus. If it had rolled, for example, 1, then this would have taken an action. But since it rolled a 5, and this doesn't have a marker on it yet, it steals our focus away. Otherwise, we could have put it here, and that means that thought is released. It won't come back, and that's really the object of the game, is we want to have each of these cards with a marker on the back. And 6. So this is really a tug of war. There's a lot of push and pull happening, or you could say it's almost like whack-a-mole. I'm attempting to suppress my thoughts as they are popping up in my meditation. So I'm going to take my thought and I'm going to notice it. Or I think I did that last turn, so I'll do this one. And I'll notice that. 5. I'm going to attempt to focus. And the mind rolled a 5, so that means that this becomes a distraction. And I lose some time. But since this was focused here, I can release this thought. Now I don't need to worry about this one anymore. Mind rolls an 8. So this was already a distraction, and I rolled a 5 again. So this arrow here means that the action advances clockwise. So first I lose time, and then the action advances. So now this is a thought again. Oh, so this one's locked off. The mind can't do anything with it. This has become a distraction. I'm going to attempt to focus. And the mind steals away our focus. And that's a distraction again. Lose some time. Three. So this thought over here has been noticed. Four. This one again. So we see our first marker in the meditation deck. This shows us that we're about a third of the way through. And this becomes a thought. I'll dial this back a bit, trying to keep the distraction from spreading. The mind rolls a 1, so nope. Again with the 4s. Nope. I'm going to attempt to focus. Mind rolls a 5, and that steals away our focus. And that becomes a thought. Oh, there's something that I forgot. These thoughts here, once you put them into release status, they can become activated again. So they can get unreleased. That's their special ability, these little thought bubbles. I might have screwed up earlier, but these tokens that are hearts are feelings, so they are harder to release. And that means that once it becomes a distraction, I can't dial it back until I take a deep breath action, which I will do at some point. And I'll flip this one back. The mind goes. Now, every thought's been noticed, or we're aware of everything. There's a marker in play on each of these cards. I'm going to focus. And I successfully lock this one down. And whenever you also successfully lock a card down, that also causes time to pass. Distraction. Mind rolls a 5. And causes time to pass. I will try to focus. Mind rolls a 5. And activates this one again, so it causes time to pass. Luckily, this blocks that, so it doesn't continue to travel clockwise. So that's lucky. And this one's locked down. Time passes. This one is already in lockdown, so we don't have to worry about that. distraction again. So the game is also over and we lose if at any point there is one of these markers on every card. Unless, of course, they're all flipped over. Oh, another distraction. We are having trouble here. So I think I want to take a deep breath action. So I'll explain how this works. So what we do is we take one of the markers from a lockdown card and we put it in the center. And then we count how many of these cards have a marker on them. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I have to roll 5 or under in order to successfully take a deep breath. And I rolled a 6, so I failed. So when we fail a deep breath, the rules say to subtract the number of cards with distraction status from the mind die result. So we have 6 minus 1, 2, 3, so that's 3. Then that's the number of mind actions immediately taken in the following priority. So the instructions have a list of what the mind will then do. So the mind will take 3 actions. So this will become a thought. Cards with released are then put back into acknowledged status. And that's 3 actions. I am in trouble. This is not good. My mind is just going crazy. And then also when you fail a deep breath, you have to flip over the center card. This is the itch status. So now the only action that I can take on my turn is to scratch, and that is to flip that card back over. So I guess I'm getting itchy during meditation or something. It's causing me to shift around and have some trouble with focusing. So the mind gets to go again. And that causes time to pass. The mind again. 5. So this one's already activated and time passes. And it rotates around here, so this becomes a distraction. And time also passes. So I'm gonna try to calm my mind a little bit. Mind rolls 7. And that's a distraction. We're down to our last card, so things are not looking good for us. I can't remove this without doing a deep breath action, so I'm gonna try this one. And the mind rolls 6, naturally. So the game is over, and we lose. So in the rulebook, there is a scale of success, basically. So let's figure out our score. So we subtract the number of distraction cards from the number of released cards. So we currently have 0 released cards and we have 3 distractions, so our score is -3. My rank is Adrift. I am surfing many realities. It is the second worst rank you can get, so at least it isn't the worst. So that was Nevermind the Distraction. Let's talk about it. So Nevermind the Distraction is definitely an unusual game. It's not often that a game claims to be able to help you meditate. But what did I think about this game? Now, Nevermind the Distraction is a very easy game to build, but you will need some special equipment to make the most out of this game. The first thing that you're going to want to have is a good color printer, because I think that the distraction cards are gorgeous and that a lot of the appeal of the game is in how it looks. So I think that if you can't get a decent quality color print, your enjoyment of this game might be diminished, especially if you're going to be using it as a meditation tool. If you want to give Nevermind the distraction its very distinctive rounded look, you're going to need to have a corner rounder that is capable of making these big, wide, round corners. Now, it isn't strictly necessary, but I feel like pretty much everything in this game has a really soft sort of feel. There's not really any hard, sharp edges on it. I feel like this game has a really soft, zen sort of feel, so I think that the shape of the cards really does contribute to the mood. We're also going to want to have these clear glass marbles, and at the very least you're going to want to have some kind of token that you can see through. And that's because the tokens that you situate around the cards are going to be randomized every game, and so if you can't see through your little distraction markers, you're going to have a harder time remembering which number is where. So if you don't have clear marbles, I guess you could also use something that's made out of clear plastic. That should work fine. So I love the way this game looks. The whole thing has a very modern, very minimalistic, and yet really elegant sort of appearance. I really like how it looks, and I think it really lends itself well to what it's trying to be, which is not only a game, but a meditation tool. Something really cool about this game is that you can really build it how you like. You can make any of the distraction packs, and right now I think that there's a lot of them. There's more than 8, I believe, last time I checked. And you can just pick out the packs that speak to you. So if you're not a fan of modern art, maybe you want the architecture pack. Or maybe you want the pack with the pictures of things that are like way up close, like feathers and an eyeball and stuff like that. So the game is pretty, but how does it actually play? Now, I think it's a little bit difficult to give this game a rating at the same level as other games. Because yes, it is a game, and you can play it as purely a game without any of the meditation in it, but the way that it was meant to be played is as a meditative experience. And so because of that, I think that your goals for playing this game are going to be different than what your goals usually are when you're playing a typical solo game. When I play Nevermind, I get into kind of a frame of mind where I'm totally absorbed in what I'm doing. I'm just watching and tracking the thoughts as they pop up and moving the little marbles back and forth and not really obsessing too much about the strategy. That's something about this game, is that I think that you could maybe get overly stressed if you think too hard about the probabilities of things. Nevermind, the distraction is actually 2 games, although they're not really games. One of them is an experience. So there's Nevermind, and then there's the distraction, and what I played for you just now is the distraction. Nevermind is the prelude to this game, and it is a meditation exercise that you can use to set up your cards. And you can go straight from playing Nevermind into playing the distraction. This activity comes with a book of instructions that will walk you through the basics of what is essentially a mindfulness exercise. Now, I'm somebody who likes to meditate regularly, and I thought that maybe this was going to be kind of a silly thing to do. I was surprised at how mindful this game made me. Playing this game kind of reminded me a little bit of a Japanese tea ceremony. In the activity, it suggests making movements in sync with your breath. Everything has a precise, measured, sort of ritualistic feeling about it. It's a comfortable rhythm that you can get into. It has a beginning, a middle, and an end. There is a destination you cannot lose at the meditation portion. I find Nevermind to also be a meditative experience if I want it to be. Now, if I just feel like I want to throw around some dice and solve a puzzle, I can definitely do that, but I do like getting absorbed into thinking about what the implications are and thinking about how the human mind actually does react in meditation. The ultimate goal is to release all your thoughts, all of your distractions, to be completely one with your breath and one with the moment and nothing else. Have kind of a state of thoughtlessness, basically. And this game, I think, is a good simulation of what happens to your brain when you try to do this kind of meditation. You try to get calm, you try to settle in, and then a little thought will niggle at your mind, and okay, you notice it and you say, okay, that's fine, I'm not thinking about you right now. And another one will pop up, and another one will pop up, and the more little distractions and thoughts that you have going on, the more they tend to pop up. So I think that it's great that the action that you use to really reverse all of this chaotic distraction is to take a deep breath. Now, the deep breath action is, of course, risky in this game for mechanics reasons. It isn't an actual meditation, but I like the concept of when everything begins to get chaotic, just focus on your breath and recenter that way. When your mind begins to get cluttered, just think the word breathe. And if you were at all successful with this deep breath, then the distractions all calm. You're in a state of greater flow. So if you want to look at this game from a pure gameplay standpoint, if you just want to step back and just pretend that it has nothing to do with meditation, I would say that this game feels the most like whack-a-mole. You are constantly trying to put out fires, and that's pretty fun, actually. I think it's a fun mechanic. I like the constant tug and pull, the back and forth. I think the game, from a purely game perspective, is good. It's fine. It's a fun puzzle. I think it would be really casual and easy to pick up, and I think that it could be fun to play with. It also is extremely hard to get a good score, from my experience, but then again, I think that I just haven't developed the right strategy. I think that in time probably I can get good at this game, but for now it seems almost impossible to imagine that I could actually get to the point where all of the cards are released. Honestly, there isn't really anything that I don't like about this game. For me, it definitely hits a bullseye with what it's trying to do. I find it a very effective tool for mindfulness and meditation and calming down. And if this is something that interests you, I highly suggest it. If you feel like you're somebody who can't meditate, I think that starting with a game like this might be a really good place. Just trust the process. It's a little bit like how a couple of years ago adult coloring books became extremely popular. Coloring books are not necessarily a meditative experience all on their own, but with a coloring book, it kind of invites you to just begin where you are, to just sink into the experience. All you have to do is pick up your pen, pick up your crayon, and start coloring. And eventually, you will relax into the experience, and you'll hopefully begin to feel mindful of your movements. All of your distractions and worries will fade away. And I think it's the same principle with this game. It doesn't really ask very much of you to get started. You just follow the instructions. And if you follow the instructions, slowly but surely, you'll probably sink into that mindset. As a game, it's fine. As a meditation experience, it's excellent. So all in all, my final rating on this is a little bit different. If you're going to take it from a pure gameplay perspective, I would say that this game is around average, maybe a little bit better because of its nice artwork, but it's not going to blow you away with its gameplay. However, for what it's trying to be, which is a hybrid meditation gaming experience, this game is a 10 out of 10. And I think this game accomplishes everything that it sets out to do. So if you're in the mood for a little bit of quiet contemplation, or maybe just a fun little puzzle game, I highly suggest that you try out Nevermind, The Distraction. There's really nothing else like it, and so just the novelty of having a game about meditating, I think it's a worthwhile addition to your collection. Thank you so much for watching! Starting tomorrow, I'm going to be posting 2 videos per day until the voting opens, which is completely insane, but I am in too deep now and there's no way I'm going to stop. If you would like to support the channel, I would be really happy if you would subscribe. And if you feel like it, you could also support me on Patreon. And if you would really rather not have the commitment of becoming a patron, and if you're concerned that I'm going to be spending your Patreon contributions on drugs and strippers, well, you can also take a look at my Amazon wishlist. I know I'm going to be doing a lot of print and play in the future, and so I can always appreciate supplies and things to help out the channel. This was my personal wish list that I was using to keep things that I wanted to get for the channel in order, but now I made it public so you can take a look at it if you like. Everything that is gifted to me through the wishlist page will be 100% used, and if you buy me a game book or a game, I can guarantee that it will be shot right up the priority list. So until next time, my friends, keep adventuring.